Hi, I'm Jimmy Blakeney, product designer for Isle, and in this video we are going to be doing a setup, getting your Flywater ready, and then disassembly and repacking of your Flywater. So it'll walk you through all the steps from where it is right now in the bag to putting it all the way back in the bag. So you're going to receive it just like this. It's going to come in a box, and it's pretty cool because this bag is a wheelie bag. So this allows you to use this handle here to wheel around your Flywater and move it. And you also have a strap like this on either side. These are adjustable and will allow two people to carry it. So if you want to have two people, one on each side, because it is a lot in the bag, you can have it. It's pretty easy to carry with two people. You'll also notice the bag's a little floppy on the top, and we do that intentionally because we always like to leave a little bit of extra room in our bags so that you have plenty of room, one, to repack it, and two, to add extra gear if you want to bring extra gear in this bag. So with that said, we're going to open it up. You can scan this QR code. I'll actually link to this video. So you might not need that because you're already at the video. So inside, we're going to start taking everything out. This is a brand new, unopened, unboxed, so to speak, Flywater. So this has never been opened before. So this is literally walking you through everything. So you're gonna have your two seat backs. These are our cloud kayak seats. We call them cloud seats because they're inflatable. They have the inflatable cushions. They go together with the high back seat. Super comfortable and really easy to use. Next, inside we have this pack, which is going to be all of your accessories. So this bag has all of your accessories in it, including your foot brace. And then this is going to be your electric pump. This is a low pressure electric pump that you're going to use in combination with the manual pump to inflate your Flywater. And speaking of the manual pump, that's going to be right here. And finally, of course, we have the Flywater itself. So this is pretty neat that this entire 12'6" boat fits down into this small size. And I promise you, after this video, you're gonna see that we're able to repack this and get it back down to a really small form factor like this. So when I'm setting this up, obviously find a good spot that's gonna be clean, free of any sharp objects. Of course, we're dealing with an inflatable here, so you just want to have a nice area to do this. The grass is great. If you do it on concrete or somewhere it could be rough, you may want to put something down. So first thing I'll do here is just remove these two straps, and we're going to keep these for afterwards. And what you're going to pay attention to here is how this all comes out of the package, because that's going to help when you're repacking it. So take these straps off. Now you'll see that it folds inwards on itself. So the nose and the tail, the bow and the stern, they fold in on themselves, and then it folds over to create the final packaging when you repack this. So just pay attention to that when you're rolling this out, because you'll have that information in your head. Of course, you can come back to this video as well. But that's how we're gonna think about repacking while we're unpacking. So now I'm just gonna lay this out. And we use this paper packaging just to reduce use of plastic, but to protect your boat. And when you're doing this and laying it all out, there's going to be a lot of wrinkles. There's going to be a lot of wrinkles in your boat because it's been packed up like this. Once you inflate it, get it all set up, all those little wrinkles are going to come out. So don't be worried about that. We have all these little pieces of foam that are protecting each various component, whether it be the universal mounting brackets or the valves, as well as the bungee bungee clip so that it doesn't create too many impressions on the deck pad. You will have some impressions on the deck pad. Again, those will come out over time. So I've unpacked and laid out all of the accessories. And first thing we'll talk about are the cloud kayak seats. So as I mentioned, you have the inflatable cushions as the base, and then you have your high back fiberglass reinforced seat. And so these are gonna be something that you just put together, and then once you get these together, you can take them apart separately or you can keep it connected. So basically on the seat, there's Velcro along the bottom edge. That Velcro lines up with the piece along the top of the seat, and you just press those together, and that's how your seat is gonna be set up. We're gonna inflate that as well, of course. And the same thing with the second one, and that is then connected, and those seats are ready to be inflated. Next, here we have our tracking fin, and this is our bumper fin. So these little bumper fins we include so that you can put a fin into the fin box to protect the fin box, and also to protect your Flywater when you don't want to use a fin. If we just left the fin box open, debris and dirt can get in there, it can get damaged. So that's really what these bumper fins are for protecting your boat when you don't want to use your tracking fins. Your tracking fins are going to be used, I like to use these when it's a little bit windier, if you need a little bit more directional control, whereas if you want a little bit more maneuverability and slide in the stern, that's when the bumper fin is great. I tend to use these more when I'm kayaking, and I'll tend to use those more if I'm motorizing the Flywater. And then I don't need as much tracking, but sometimes you do. So it's really your option. You have both options. These are going to be, this is a set of knobs and screws. This is the full set you'll need to install a power pole motor mount that is at the stern of the Flywater. This is exactly what you'll need. You can use this to install your motor mount plate. If you buy a motor mount plate from us, you'll actually receive another set of these. But we include a set with the Flywater so that you have one in case you buy an aftermarket set up for your own whatever motor choice that you have. But that's what this is for. You will also get these 1/4-20 screws. We actually don't recommend using these unless you are extremely sure of the depth that you can go and that you don't go too deep. These can actually puncture the boat if you over tighten them into the motor bracket. So really, honestly, we recommend this we only include it in case you have an application where you have to have some screws, so we want to include it. But really, this is the system that we recommend. And in our motor mount video, you can find the details of how to set this up for your motor mount plate and installing a motor. You're also going to get 4 stainless steel carabiners. These stainless steel carabiners are designed to connect to the webbing loops, the I-link system, so that you can then use your connect and extend straps to secure things to the Flywater. For example, you might want to have a cooler tie down. You might want to have other gear that you want to secure very securely to the boat. You also may have our new console seat, the aluminum frame console seat, which is coming out soon. And these are designed specifically for that purpose. This is a repair kit with a few patches. It doesn't include the PVC glue. That is a hazmat item that we can't ship with the product, but you can find either Clifton's urethane adhesive or HH66. Those are both really good products as far as the glue for repairs. And this is your footrest, which goes at the bow, and we'll get that set up later. Finally, I have our 2 pumps. So we include 2 pumps with the Flywater because this gets you set up in about 6 minutes. Once you've done this, you'll see how easy and quick it is. But this is the manual pump, and the manual pump goes in this little bag. And I'm gonna take it out and we'll set it up, show you how this setup goes. Remove all this. And what we have here are handles. These handles screw in just to give you more leverage. And this all can be, the reason this is designed this way, of course, is so that it's more compact, so that it fits in the backpack when you're not using it and when you're storing it away. So we screw those on, then we take the base, and the base slots in here and goes on like that. Finally, we have our hose. You have on this manual pump, we have our inflation gauge. The inflation gauge goes up to 20 PSI. You're not gonna need that much for this, but it goes up to 20. 15 is the highest, and that's for the floor only. It has an inflate and a deflate mode, and it will say deflate on one side and inflate on the other. So when we're doing one or the other, we're installing this hose on the side that we are doing, either inflating it or deflating it. So that's your manual pump. That's actually the second pump that you're gonna use. The first pump you're gonna use is this really cool little mini inflator pump. It comes in this box like this. And what's cool about this little pump is that it's really small, really compact, and it comes with this custom adapter that we have that is the same adapter that's found here on the manual pump. So that little adapter is the same. And what it allows you to do is very quickly inflate or deflate the pontoons and the floor of the Flywater. On the top and bottom, it's very similar to this in regards to having an inflate and a deflate mode. It's gonna say inflate on the top, deflate on the bottom, and this little adapter will just go into that, like that. And now you've got your two pumps ready to inflate. When you press the button, press it twice, it'll turn on. And press it again, it'll turn off. And it has a little charge port, because this is battery powered. And the charge cord is in the box here. So you have that ready to go. You do have another adapter actually, so you can use this for other needs. It's a universal type of pump. The really unique part is this adapter that we have for our boat. All right, so we're gonna start inflating now, and we have the mini inflator pump. You can inflate any of these chambers in any order that you prefer. I like to do the pontoons first and then do the floor. So these pontoons you inflate with the mini inflator, and then you top it off with the manual inflator. That's the intention here. So we're gonna probably speed this video up, but you'll see how quick and easy this is. What I like to do, and I'm gonna talk now before I turn this on, I'm gonna open all the valves, or each valve as I go, and it's important that the valve is in the up position. So this valve goes down, and if you push it again, it comes up, so it's a little taller. So it's important when you're inflating that it's in the up position, because that means the valve's closed, but air will still go in even though it's closed. It just means air won't rush out when you take this off. All right, so I'm gonna start inflating, and we're gonna see how long this takes. One thing I like to do is I like to just put the pump on and hold it in position. It's just a little bit easier if I fully connect this adapter on here. You do have to kind of grab it from the base and twist to get it off. Otherwise, this will come off, and then you'd have to just remove the adapter. So what I like to do, because it's so quick, as you'll see, is just hold it on there. Okay, here we go. All right, so just finished with the mini inflator, and you're gonna hear this thing make a different noise as it gets to full pressure. It'll kind of like change pitch when it gets to the point that it can no longer put any more air inside the chambers. That's when you'll know to take this off. You can leave it running for a little bit longer just to let it fill up as much as possible. So we have 5 chambers on the Flywater. Each pontoon has 2, and then there's a floor chamber. So you have 5 chambers. That does make this a really redundant system when it comes to having buoyancy when you're out on the water in case one chamber were to be punctured. And we actually have a baffle, which is a piece of material that separates the 2 chambers in each pontoon. So that baffle will shoot into one or the other if one was to lose pressure to add some buoyancy in that area. All right, so we just finished with the electric inflator, and now we're going to do the manual inflation. So when we're doing the manual inflation, obviously check this, make sure that you're on the inflate mode. And our valve adapter, we are going to put on and turn it sideways so that it locks in place. And for the floor is going to be the highest pressure part of this boat. The floor is going to go to 15 PSI. The pontoons go to 5 PSI. I'm at about 8 PSI, and it's getting a little difficult, so I'm going to take this little screw. I'm going to unscrew it. With that unscrewed, now it's called a two-way pump because now it's only putting pressure in on the downstroke. So it's much easier to pump in high pressure mode. That's why we have that little screw there. That's 15. Now we'll do each side chamber for the pontoons. And again, these are only 5. So I like to put the screw back in because it's not that high of a pressure and it goes faster. You want to watch your gauge as you go so you don't overinflate. If you overinflate, you can just press the button and just release some air. That's 5. Close that valve cap. Dang it. One thing that just happened with this hose, what can happen is if I have it rotated, this hose will sometimes want to twist one way or the other. If it wants to twist counterclockwise, when we put it in, we rotate it clockwise. But sometimes if there's pressure on the hose, twisting it counterclockwise, it can twist off. So just to avoid that, make sure you kind of rotate it counterclockwise first, then engage, and then rotate it, because that way the pressure will be kind of rotating back in the clockwise direction. Two more. And our last one. Now it's starting to look like a boat. All right. So we can use the video. We'll let you know how long that took. We'll drop that on the video here once we boil that all down. But from our timing of this, it's usually around 6 minutes. So now we've got the boat fully inflated. As I mentioned, all the little wrinkles are going to come out and it's going to go super smooth once that air is filled up. Some of the handles like here, you can kind of stretch those out. You have these splash guards. The splash guards are going to be the ones that probably have the most wrinkling because this is a pretty thin material. We made it pretty thin because if you make it any thicker, then it really starts to get awkward when you're trying to pack this up. It just doesn't want to bend. But this is designed to keep the water from splashing over. That's why we put these splash guards here. But they will do this. They'll eventually kind of work their way out as well. All right, so we now have the boat inflated, and now we're going to use the mini inflator. That's really all we need for the seats. And the footrest, we can use the high pressure pump, but we don't really have to. The seats on the valve ring here, it'll say 3 to 6 PSI. Honestly, that's something we probably should change. Personal preference, I like mine at about 1 to 2 PSI because it's just softer. So you're not gonna do anything, it's not gonna hurt anything by going lower. We recommend the 3 to 6 because it's just like, that's when it's fully pressurized. But I can tell you, you may, don't be afraid to go a little lower pressure. You won't hurt the seat. And it might be more comfortable for you. So just find whatever's comfortable. Same thing, same valve that's on the boat. So once again, we're gonna make sure it's in the up position. All right. With the footrest, I do recommend using the manual pump to fully inflate it because that just gives you a more solid brace, because this is essentially for your feet to brace against when you're kayaking. So literally it's just that much pumping to get this nice and firm for your footrest. Really foot brace. We call it a foot rest, a foot brace. You don't really rest your feet on it. You can also use it as a pillow if you want, but you're really bracing your feet against this to get leverage for when you're kayaking, to get energy out of your core and use your core when you're paddling. All right, so now that we have the seats inflated, we've got the footrest inflated, just putting the valve caps back on here. Now I'm gonna position these on the boat. Now, the exact positioning of where you want these is totally dependent on your personal preference. However, when you're positioning these, there is gonna be a little bit of trial and error for you and how you're gonna use your Flywater, either solo, tandem, with your gear on it, with a pet, maybe a dog in the front, maybe you have somebody standing up sometimes or sitting down. All that's gonna affect the trim, whether it's bow heavy or stern heavy, or riding really flat. What we want is we want the boat to be riding nice and flat on the water once we have it all outfitted and ready to go and loaded. So that's just something you're gonna have to do on your own when you're out on the water. You're gonna find where that trim is. That may affect where you place your seats, and that's why I mentioned it here. You may want the seats a little further back, you may want them a little further forward. That's really gonna depend on your use case. However, either way, when it comes to putting the seats on the boat, the method is the same. So, if you're back here on the one here at the back, I can show you this one and how this installs. So, the first thing we're gonna do is take these rear straps. So we have the two vertical straps. These are gonna go on to G-hooks here. The G-hooks are gonna click into the I-Link system, and we're gonna put those opposite each other. And once those are installed, I can bring the seat rest up, and now I can take the front ones, and I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, either one, but I'd like to go 5 and install that one. And now I'm gonna loosen the little retainer clip for the strap. I'm gonna pull these straps a little tighter. I'm gonna install the other side, same location. Got to kind of untwist these straps to get them ready. Slide that in, remove that little retaining bungee, pull that, and now I'm going to get that to where I feel like is pretty good. In the back here, same thing, you're going to have these little retention pieces that you'll slide down, and now I'm going to pull it tight in the back. And when I pull it tight in the back, that's when it's really going to start to lock in. And once it starts to lock in, that's when I can then actually sit in it. But I wanted to get it to this stage so you can see what it's going to look like just when I get it initially set up. Once I get that in, I can sit down in it. In this case, I have this seat cushion fairly low pressure, so it's got a lot of give to it. Might want to stiffen that up a little bit actually. So now I can get in here and I can pull these two straps tighter to get it to the position I want, whether I'm more upright position or if I want to loosen them and be a little more relaxed, leaning back a little bit. So once I position this rear seat, I then can position the front seat. And this front seat positioning depends on the rear seat position and the person that's going to be sitting here. So for me, what you do with this front seat is I use the back edge of this seat, and the reason we have this extra part here is because that becomes a foot brace for me, the person in the back, when I place that seat. So about right here seems about right. So now I can do the same process for my front seat. And once I'm in this front seat, I can adjust these, get them where I like them. And now the position of this foot brace is going to depend on the front passenger. If I'm setting this up for solo use, I'm going to position that seat more in the central location, and I can use the foot brace for solo use. But in this case, I'm going to have this out in front of me. When I use a foot brace in a kayak, I want my knees bent about like this. So I don't want my legs to be straight, and I don't want them to be too close, because then you can't use your paddle. So you want to kind of find that sweet spot where your knees are bent. I can press on that because you're going to be pushing with the balls of your foot onto the foot brace. And once I find that spot, then I can just connect this to the boat. So same thing, I'm just using these. And in this case, I'm way up at the front. So I'm actually tightening these way down because I'm so far up. When you're further back, these straps, the reason these are this long is because they need to be able to go further back. So in this case, I'm all the way at the front. This is as far up as it goes. And I need to really tighten these all the way down. I can actually do that first. Get those there. Actually gonna do the same thing over here. And once I've got that locked in, like that, I can use the little excess piece of bungee to secure these straps, and then I'm gonna be in this position for when I'm kayaking for the front passenger. Okay, so we have our two kayak seats installed with the foot brace, and now I'm gonna show you how to install the fins. When you install the fins, the bumper fin is a fin that you can install and leave it. And in fact, I recommend when you just have your boat laying around, always have these bumper fins installed. Then when you want to put the tracking fins on, put those on when you get to the water, because you don't want to have weight and pressure on these longer fins, but you can put pressure and weight on the bumper fins. So when I want to flip the boat over, one way you can do this, you just slide the seat back a little bit, and you can fold that down. Now I can grab the two handles here, and flip it over, and now we've got the fins. So just taking a quick look at the bottom, you can see we have our super durable non-skid material, which is really thick. Underneath this is our infinity fiber material, which makes it even next level durable beyond even this non-skid. And that's what you can see in here where this little line is. That's where you've got that infinity fiber, as well as at the stern, at the transom. So that's what that is. So when it comes to our fin box, these fin boxes are really simple. Again, these are the two styles of fins, but right away you could just install these bumper fins and just leave them on. You may need, as this boat, when it comes out of the packaging, when you're sliding this fin in, you may have to kind of work it in there a little bit the first time, and then it'll like open up so it becomes easier. But basically, I'm gonna slide this in. So I just did that one time. I'll do it again. So I take this part with the tether at the back, slide that in, slide it back. And the first time, it's gonna take a little extra work because it's still a new product. I can take my other fin and I can actually use that to press that in. Then I can take my little tether and clip the fin in just to secure it in place so that it doesn't get lost. So now I've got the bumper fin installed. It's the same thing. I'll do the tracking fin here, but it's the same exact fin. This one's just a short little bumper, whereas this one's a little taller, and it's actually makes it a little easier to get in because you got more leverage on that to get it back in there. And same thing for the tether. Clip that in. So now you're good to go and you won't lose your fins. And then when you're ready to remove them, you're gonna remove that little clip, and that allows you to take the fin out. And again, these are gonna be tight at first, and then they'll loosen up. So that's how they come out. This one's easier. You can kind of karate chop it to slide it out. So that's installing and removing your fins into the fin boxes. One other thing you'll notice here while we're at the stern is this is your HIN, your HIN. This is what you're gonna need to register your boat. So that's located right here on the starboard side of the transom. So that's your unique identifying number for your boat. All right, so just going through a few of the key features on the Flywater. At the front here, at the bow, we have a carry handle from the nose, which makes it really easy to lift up. And also you can see the catamaran design, which you're probably familiar with, that makes this hull so efficient. We also have a D-ring underneath. That's great for towing, and that's why we put that there if you ever needed to get towed. We have 2 additional D-rings here. Those are for attaching any accessories. You can attach an additional rope. Some people like to have a rope up here that loops through those. Moving back, we have a bungee that's tension adjustable to adjust your bungee. You can also remove it. You can also reposition it in any of the aisle link webbing loops. So if you wanted to reposition that bungee, you can do that. We have our splash guards that I mentioned earlier. Prevent water from splashing over when you're under motorization. It actually works in waves when you're kayaking as well, if you're in choppy conditions. Coming back a little further here, we have carry handles, the front 2 carry handles. We have the 2 universal mounts. These universal mounts work with all accessories that accept this type of universal 4-hole pattern. Pretty much everything from Scotty to Ram Mount to Yak Attack, they all work with this universal plate. We have our front paddle holder. This is the paddle holder, and we have the second one back here for your paddle together with the second carry handle. We put these 2 carry handles where we did because it's a little oriented towards the stern, because typically that's where you're gonna have more weight if you have a motor in gear, to allow 2 people to carry it here, or even 1 person to carry it if you need to pick it up like this. So that's what those handles are for. Here at the middle, we have our 2 valves, and then coming to the back, 2 additional universal mounts. One thing you can do with these universal mounts that we'll cover in a separate video, you can actually add track. You can put a track system in here to put an elevated seat, a further elevated seat Those are aftermarket items that you could add on here, but there's a lot of things you can do with these universal mounts. You can even add an additional aftermarket one up at the front, and you could run track on the whole boat if you wanted to. Coming back here to the stern, once the EVA deck pad ends, so we have this embossed EVA deck pad, super comfortable and grippy. It ends right where our motor bracket system begins. I didn't mention, I don't think here, that the aisle link system, of course, runs the full length for installing accessories with all of our G-hook accessories. But the motor mount system, it has 8 total screw locations to secure our motor mount plate, or if you have a very lightweight motor like a Bixby, you only need the rear 4 to install a smaller motor like the Bixby. Of course, this is where you can just see the infinity fiber. That's the raw infinity fiber material. Really cool, really unique, patented material that we use to make this thing so rigid and so strong. 2 additional D-rings back here. These 2 combined with the 2 in the front, you can put a bimini on this and create a shade for this. We don't make that product yet. There's aftermarket ones, but you can certainly do that. It's one of the reasons they're there. Coming all the way back, we have our valve for the floor. We have our 2 valves for the rear pontoons, and then 2 carry handles at the stern of each pontoon, so that we can lift it up very easily from the stern. Makes it very easy to transport. Okay, so we set everything up. We walked through a few key features. Now we're gonna deflate this Flywater and put it back into the travel bag. So to do that, I'm gonna take off the seats. Any other accessories that you might have, of course, are gonna come off. It's pretty quick and easy to take off these seats. These G-hooks make it really simple to remove the seats. I'll remove these. I can take this valve. Same thing for the footrest, I already took that off. But super easy removal and repositioning of these seats if you need to reposition them while you're out on the water even. So those are deflating. Now I'm gonna just deflate every chamber. So to do that, of course, you just push the push pin in the middle of the valve. And then when you push that, that's what opens the valve up, lets all the air out. Now that I've done that, the air is naturally coming out of the boat. But the key to getting this thing repacked is using the deflate mode on our mini inflation pump. So I'm going to use the mini inflation pump. I have flipped it over, so now this is the bottom. That's where it says deflate, so you'll see the little deflate. So I've installed the adapter there, and now I'm going to suck all the air out of each chamber. When I do this, my valve is going to be in the open position. All right, so it's not up, it's down. When I do this and get all the air out, I'm then going to close it. And you're going to close it quickly so that no air rushes back in. So we're deflated, we're ready to start packing up. I grabbed the 2 compression straps. I want to have these handy because once I get it all folded, I'll have those ready to strap it all down so it doesn't want to come back open. So the first thing I'm going to do is move back here to the stern. I'm going to fold the pontoon in and fold that over. And then I'm going to take the other one, fold that in, and fold it over. And these pieces will come together they should come together pretty naturally. There's going to be folds, there's going to be creases. That's just the nature of this material. I'm going to get it laid down pretty flat. Then you're going to take the bow. I'm going to fold this right in this section. So here's your infinity fiber material, and I'm folding it up in front of that. So it folds over here, quite a bit in front, so you can see kind of where that fold is. Keep that all together. Fold it again, keeping these in line. Now this is the part where you kind of have to reach If this is not staying down, kind of reach back to the stern, fold this. And now I've got this space between these folds. So this folded twice, this folded one time. And now I'm going to take this, and the second fold for the rear goes over the top of the bow. So now I've got it all sandwiched down. I can take my compression straps, and there we go. So now we've got it packed up. Not quite as tight as the original because that's really hard to do, but that's pretty good. And when you get this strap down, you can kind of like, you'll play around with getting this thing perfectly level, whether it stands up or not, vertically like that. Really just depends on those two pieces meeting on the bottom. So now that it's standing up, I can take it and put it back into the bag, which is pretty easy because we have plenty of space in the bag. It's oversized. And once this is in, then I can put all my accessories in. So I'm gonna get that in, get it to the bottom. And now I'm ready to add all my accessories, load them back into the bag. Taking your pump apart, pretty straightforward. It goes back in the bag. For the seats are gonna come apart like this. The seats lay across the top of the boat together with these, which I didn't even use the deflation mode because they're really not a lot of air, but I do want to replace the valve caps. Those can go in like that. And because you have extra room, you can either do this really carefully and get it really, really organized, but you've also got room to kind of leave it a little bit looser, depending on how you want to pack yours down. So those are going to go in. You have room on the side for your accessories and your pump, and then we can zip this all back up. So there it is. Unpacking, setting up, deflating, repacking the 12.6 Flywater. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was really long because we wanted to be really thorough. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. And yeah, we hope you enjoy your Flywater, and we'll see you out there.